Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Joe Moragrega and I'm here to show you a little bit of what the infrastructure as a service can do. In this case we're going to use OpenStack for doing that. It's a bit of a demo not only of OpenStack, but we're also going to use some other tools to prove what you can do with an infrastructure as a service. Tools we're going to use in this case are Git, saltstack, and OpenStack. OpenStack, as you all know, it's the infrastructure as a service provider, and we're going to use Salt to orchestrate OpenStack by virtue of what's the contents on a GitHub, on a Git repository. Now, I'm not going to show you right now how to export the Git, but we're going to take it from there. Now let's position ourselves into the path where Salt lives, and let's take a look at the map, which is one of the artifacts that Salt has. And what we can see in here is that we're going to create a setup called Nexus Repo, a VM called Nexus Repo, with the profile dev salt cloud. And now there's other parameters in there. One of the important ones is grains in there, as you can see. That indicates the role that the machine is going to take, meaning the function that is going to acquire. Now, if you take a peek at the timing, you see that it's 6:42 p.m. We're going to see how long, it takes to do this. Now, if we see on the top of the screen, that's a browser where we can see the GUI for OpenStack. Now we can see that the Nexus repo has been started to be deployed, and it's spawning as the GUI interface indicates. Now, this means that the virtual machine, it's coming up. Okay, it's been deployed with a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7, the key pair that is going to use, and these are the parameters that has been indicated in the profile linked to the map file that we just saw before. Now, bear with me, this is not actually a technical comprehensive demo, so I'm not going to show you how to. It's just want to show you what can be done. Okay, now let's take a look at what's happening in here right now with a different view. So saltstack has communicated with OpenStack requesting to deploy an image, to create a machine based on that image, and to bring it up, which is what we're just saying. On top of that, what it is happening is that the image has a component called cloud-init, which is able to configure the basic properties of the system. Now, cloud-init needs a user data, which is a bunch of MIME formatted, there you go, you can see it in there, information that is going to tell cloud-init how to boot up, how to configure the system for the first time. Now, what Salt is trying to do, now the machine is booted and it has sent all of the user data, all of the configuration, is wait until it is reachable. Alright, so let's take a look at what's happening on the meanwhile. So after cloud-init will finish, or is finishing, it's going to run a custom script that was sent along with the user data, and that custom script is going to do things like enable remote execution, and it's also going to configure satellite in the case of Red Hat. So as we can see in here in the execution, while that is happening, that remote execution is being enabled. In the case of Windows, is going to be using WinRM. In the case of Linux, just SSH. The package manager is being configured also at this point in time. So Salt is just waiting for the machine to come up, to be reachable, to finish the configuration. Now, what's going on right now is Salt, it's communicating with the virtual machine to do the installation of the agent. In order to do that, it's going to change SSH keys. It's going to install what we call a Salt minion, and then it's going to have it talking to the master. In this case, what you see in the picture as manager. After that, Salt kicks in. It's going to apply a Salt formula, as you can see. So that's where the configuration management afterwards is going to happen. As you can see now, Salt, it's waiting for the formula to be applied and for it to be deployed. Now, this takes a little bit of time, but now what it is going on is all of the software installation of the base software and Nexus as a product on top of it. Now, Nexus, don't know if you know about it, it's a repository management tool. It's a release management tool, let's say. So it's able to handle different releases and versions and binaries of your software. Now, it usually works very much integrated with Maven as part of the Java suite, but it's also very good at storing and managing binary files and builds mainly. So that's where Maven comes in. You know, Maven would do the building of your Java applications and store it on Nexus. You can also do just plain store versions under Nexus. So you can do it either way. In this case, we're deploying the software that is going to allow us to have a series of repositories, repos, you know, either connected to Maven, either Maven Central, or just simply third party, where you can add your own. So that's what Nexus is used for, and we'll see that in a minute as soon as it is deployed. As we can see, by virtue of managing these three technologies, OpenStack, saltstack, and cloud-init, we can manage the full stack of our service and our application, from the building of the compute power to the service deployment itself. So it's pretty neat what you can do with this combination. Now, let's take a peek at the deployment. It should be close to finished by now. As you can see, it's 7 p.m. So it took just 20 minutes from where we started. Now, as part of the command line, I have put it an output so you can see the IP address that we are reaching at. So let's try to go there and see what the result is. I believe port is 8081. Oops, something went wrong in there. Second. Oh, that's it, the protocol. Yep, there we go. HTTP response. Now let's try to go to the URL, default URL for this service, and let's use the default login to log in. That is admin and admin123. The service comes as it comes. Alright, now let's review a little bit the repositories that we can find in what we have just deployed and installed. Alright, as you can see, there are several. There are third-party, Apache, Maven Central, different options. Now, let's do something fancier. Let's restore a backup from file. In order to do that, we're going to use salt. We're going to call our instance name called Nexus Repo. We're going to use a state.sls, which just means run a state. Now, our state where we have packaged our formula, it's software repo, and we're going to run the status restore backup. Oops, small error message. Yep. Looks like it was a timeout of some sort. Now, let's run this. Now what we're doing is we are restoring a backup. So we're just picking up from a repository where we have a binary of a tar gc file that contains our backup, our folder where all of our repository information is at. Now with that, by running this action, what we're doing is replacing everything that it is in there. In this case it's empty, but replacing what's in there to place our file that contains the backup. Now this is a dummy backup and it's just for demonstration purposes, but I guess it shows you what can be done and, you know, the possibilities for doing a quick restoration. So the backup finished, succeeded, 2 steps. Oh, don't worry about the warnings. Now let's review now the repo again, and let's see what we got. Let's do a refresh. Oops, something came up. So now there's a Corp, Protoban, SolarWinds, Orion. So we've got new software that we didn't have before, and then it comes from the backup. As you can see, the software in the repo, I can even download it and put it wherever I want. So that's it, guys. So this is how you create a quick service.